Okay, so this is the second part of our discussion on subjectivism, moral subjectivism, and ethical egoism. So we mentioned that in the first part of the video, we mentioned about psychological egoism. No? Uh, the psychological egoist would say that an action is good if it is geared towards satisfying my personal or individual interest. In other words, actions are good if I can benefit from it or if it is beneficial to me. Okay? So that's psychological egoism. The other form of uh, ethical egoism or moral subjectivism is ethical egoism. No? The ethical egoist may allow certain actions that may benefit other people. No? So I can allow actions that will benefit other people, but doing it should ultimately benefit the self. So again, pwede ko maghimo og mga butang nga makapahimo sang uban, pero kinanglan ultimately, eventually, in the end, ako ra gihapon ang makapahimos. Naa gihapon, no? So I help other people, no? Pero ang motivation nako, mutabang ko sa uban, pero ang motivation nako is for the self pa rin. Self gihapon. Okay? Ultimately, the self will benefit from my actions. Okay? In other words, helping other people is desirable because I can also benefit from it. Okay? So we can of course the most common example we can cite here are politicians, no? Okay, if you remember mga politicians, 'di ba? During elections, no? They promise the heavens, 'di ba? They promise everything, almost everything, no? And in fact they can they build many projects, no? Especially if election is near, no? Magkaduol na gani ang election, daghanay mga project, no? So that people can benefit from it, no? Okay? Usahay mahatag pag mga donation, magpatukod og mga multipurpose hall, mga gymnasium, no? Mga tulay, no? Mga bridge, okay? Mahatag og mga goods sa mga tao, no? Pero of course, there is string attached. No? There are strings attached to it. Okay? The purpose is for people to vote for them. No? So, mo na siya, ethical egoist na siya. So, other people can benefit from it, but eventually, it is still the I, no, who is uh, the what you call this, the ultimate goal is still the ego. Okay, but if you compare this to psychological egoism, mas worse ang psychological egoism. I mean, if you compare psychological egoism with ethical egoism, mas worse ang psychological egoism, because psychological egoism really it's the self lang yun, no? An action is good if I can benefit from it. Okay? Uh, ay, sige, pok. Okay? So, as I mentioned already, psychological egoism is worse because wala na laing gitanaw diri kundi ang self lang. Whereas ethical egoism, no? I can do good to others, no, if I can benefit from it. Okay? So, for example, if you uh, if you're an employee and then you work hard as an employee, but your motivation really is, to be recognized, no? Okay, you to be recognized by your employer, no? Para maka-receive mo awards or recognition, no? So you help other people so that people will praise you, no? So mo gyapon na siya, ethical egoism gyapon na siya. Motabang kintahi ka sa uban, pero ang imong motivation is still for self recognition, no? For self praise gyapon. Okay? On the other hand, ethical pluralism or value pluralism argues that values, beliefs, or ethical principles are incommensurable, no? So lahi po ning kon, lahi po ning ethical pluralism, no? So values should not be judged by the same standards because they have no common standard for measurement. No? Muna yung mga muna ang idea sa ethical pluralists, or ethical pluralists. I think I should move because the noise is getting worse in this place. I will just transfer to another place. Okay. So I think this place is better, no? Mas dili kayo mas hilom diri gamay. Okay, so we just wrap this up, no? So ethical pluralism is the belief that ethical principles are incommensurable, meaning ethical standards or ethical positions are not equal or not the same. You cannot impose the same ethical norms to all people. For example, you cannot say, for example, that the nun is a better person than the mother because the nun is more prayerful, no? You cannot say nga mas buotan ning madre kay sige ampo ning madre, no? I-compare nimo ang madre ug ang nanay, no? You cannot say that the nun is a better person because the nun is always praying, no? Of course, we need to consider also that they have conflicting values, no? The mother may not have the luxury of time praying because most of the time she is at work or busy taking care of her children. So, but if you look at the life of the mother, no, mas dedicated siya sa iyang children, sa iyang family, no. So perhaps her work is her prayer also, no. Her work is also the prayer that she offers to God. So that's why that's ethical pluralism, no. But this doesn't mean that the mother is lesser good than the nun or than the madre, no. In addition, we live in a world of varying moral standards, and in making moral judgments, we need to make a moral choice. In most cases, we either have to follow or choose this moral value or that moral value. In any case, our preferred choice already excludes the other. If we choose to embrace utilitarianism, then you already abandon the ontological ethics or virtue ethics. Okay. So we now move on to the last part, which is millennials and morality. No, this really applies to you, no, especially at your age right now. Millennials, those born between 1980s and 1990s, and sometimes extended as far as early 2000s, comprise a significant number of people in our country. Okay, so wait a minute, huh? Okay. So, why am I including this topic on millennials and morality? It's because most young people nowadays, no, are different, no, from if you compare it to, for example, 10, 20 years ago, no. A lot of studies confirm that millennials they manifest a wide array of varied and sometimes contradictory traits and characteristics, no? For example, a Time magazine article in 2013 labels them as me generation, or me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and I generation. So, kusog kayo ang subjectivism or individualism or ethical egoism sa mga millennials or millennials. No? They have this narcissistic or self-centered attitude. I'm not saying no nga. I mean, this does not come from me. This is from a study conducted by Time magazine way back 2013. No? Mostly mga negative traits attributed to millennials or millennials. No? They are said to be politically disengaged, meaning apolitical, or they don't engage, they don't involve in political matters, they don't normally participate in political affairs. No? There is a very strong sense of apathy among millennials, no, meaning they don't care, they just don't care, no. So muna of course this needs to be confirmed, no? Or this needs to be studied further, no? They are more focused on material things and not concerned in helping the larger community. So muna kusog jud kayo ang ilang kwan. I think gadgets and social media reinforces this kind of attitude, no? Kana bang self-centered, na puros na lang gadgets ang gitubang, no? So some young people forget that there is a larger community outside of them, no? So on the other positive side, na po yung mga positive po, no? They are regarded as more open-minded, educated, knowledgeable, and more supportive of human rights. So, mo ni mga positive outlook, attitude sa mga millennials or millennials. They are more socially conscious and are eager to express their views on social issues online through various social media platforms. So, some millennials or millennials express their views sa social media also. Okay? However, there is always the danger of ethical relativism, no, among young people. Kanabang what I consider to be good, what I consider to be right. And Pope Francis calls this dictatorship of relativism. Dictatorship of relativism. So all these doctrines assert that morality rests solely on the individual and certainly not on objective value. And again, this is very dangerous. Yeah? This can lead to chaos. No? Imagine if each person, each individual will assert his or her moral autonomy or moral independence. So gubot din ang ang outcome niya ni. So that's why to conclude this topic, we always say that moral subjectivism and ethical egoism is not enough, no, to assess the morality of human actions. Still, we need objective and more rational uh, framework or criteria of morality, which we will discuss in Module 3, no? Philosophical frameworks. So I hope you are done with your assessments, and please submit it to them, submit them to me, no? So that I can check them, no? After midterm. Okay? Sige, thank you very much, and see you again next meeting.